Hi, guys. Welcome to the Unalive podcast, where we discuss all things true crime. I'm your host, Lala, and today I have a story for you that led to one of the largest wrongful conviction lawsuits in U.S. history. This is the murder of Holly Staker. It was the evening of Monday, August 17th, 1992, in Waukegan, Illinois. Dawn Angelbreath was having a seemingly uneventful night. She was working a slow evening shift at a local bar in town, and it was super slow. If you're familiar with the service industry, this is usually the standard on Mondays. So she was suspicious to see a familiar face, one of her neighbors. But what was even more shocking is who was with her. It was Dawn's son, her 5-year-old oldest child, Blake. Dawn's neighbor went on to explain how she found Blake outside wandering around the apartment complex. But this only led to more questions, because her son was supposed to be at home with her 2-year-old sister. And even more confusing, they were supposed to both be with the 11-year-old babysitter, Holly. So where was her daughter and where was Holly? Dawn hightailed it to the nearest phone and called her home in hopes that Holly would answer, but she didn't. This is when panic begins to set in. Dawn called Holly's mom and informed her what was going on. The two agreed to meet at Dawn's house to see where both their children were. Upon arriving, it was evident the house had been ransacked. All the furniture had been flipped and the home was a mess. But still, both moms rushed in and began searching, terrified for their children. In one of the bedrooms, Taylor, Dawn's 2-year-old, was found first. The baby was completely unharmed. But Holly was found on the opposite side of the room, curled up in a ball on the floor, dead. 11-year-old Holly had been beaten, sexually assaulted, and stabbed 27 times. Once investigators arrived, they were able to gather key pieces of information. The back door was very damaged, showing an entry point for the perpetrator. There was no shortage of evidence either. From the scene, they collected blood, semen, hair, and even a kitchen knife. 2-year-old Taylor being the only living witness, they, however, did not have a suspect. Years later, Taylor actually came forward to police and stated that she remembered exactly what happened to Holly, which would be nice, but she was 2 at the time. I know sometimes we can unlock hidden memories associated with severe trauma, but from a 2-year-old, I'm not exactly sure how far back someone could actually remember. I don't know. Someone inform me in the comments if you have more information on that. But anyway, to investigators, one tip was actually a good lead, however. An inmate in jail contacted police and said that his cellmate may have information on who killed him. Police were like a dog with a bone with this one. They interrogated Juan for hours until he eventually actually confessed to the murder of Holly. And he was actually convicted. But this wasn't the last of Juan. This isn't the end of this story. Soon after his conviction, his team appealed the decision. The defense argued about the conditions of the interrogation and the fact that Juan was actually considered mentally ill. His conviction was overturned and he was granted another trial. This defense argued Juan's DNA did not match the semen sample found inside of Holly. But the prosecution introduced an interesting theory. They said Juan and Holly had consensual sex before she was killed. Riveria was found guilty for a second time. In 2015, this conviction was overturned again. Juan's lawyers had a pair of Juan's shoes analyzed. They supposedly had splatters of Holly's blood on them, except the brand of shoes wasn't for sale until after Holly was murdered. So if you're thinking what I'm thinking, that means that someone had to have planted this. Yep, extremely messed up stuff. Anyway, after 20 years lost behind bars, Juan went on to receive a $20 million settlement for his wrongful conviction, the largest ever in U.S. history at the time. As for Holly, her case remains unsolved. However, 8 years later, it was connected to a home invasion in Chicago. A man was killed via a brutal beating using a 2x4. And the DNA evidence actually matches the same DNA evidence found at Holly's case. So this raises the possibility to me, maybe Holly's case was just a burglary that went wrong. So many questions, but we're unfortunately still waiting on answers with this one. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, guys, for more murder.